Hello YouTube, this is Jason, and this is my episode 3 of History of Body Modification. Wanted to cover a few small things that I had not talked about in my first two that are kind of critical to the history of tattoos. So the first one is the word tattoo. There is 3 basic opinions on how this word originated. The first etymological origin of the word is believed to have derived from the Polynesian word ta, T-A, which means to strike something. The second is that it derived from the Tahitian word tatua, which is T-A-T-U-A, tatua, which means to mark something. And the third is, I've heard this explained, is the actual sound of the process, tattoo, may have been why it was called tattoo, because when they the old school way of doing tattoos, they struck some type of implement, whether it was wooden little needles that were sewn together or bound together, or bronze or different metal pieces that were sharpened. They would put them in the skin and tap them with a mallet, some sort of mallet, and this sound of being struck made the sound ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, which some people have theorized that maybe that's where the word tattoo came from, is because it sounds like, the actual process sounds like the word. So that's the origin of the word and its etymological origin. The other thing that I've not really talked about is equipment. In general, I've talked about some of the stuff they've dug up in different locations, but I haven't spoke about who actually invented the original tattoo machine. The rotary, the machine one we use, the magnetic coil ones that run off electricity that almost every tattoo shop uses. I mean, there are actual rotary machines now that are more like a car engine than the old magnetic coils, but I'm speaking more of the magnetic coils that almost all tattoo artists used. I mean, there are a few now that are converting to Hawk machines or swash drives, they call them. Unimax makes one. There's different companies that make different types of, they're almost like car engines. They're little tiny engines that move the needle up and down. But I'm speaking of the magnetic coil electric tattoo machines. It was patented by a individual called Samuel O'Reilly. In 1891, he patented it, and it was based off of Thomas Edison's autographic writing pen. So it was kind of based off his design. So that's kind of cool that Thomas Edison actually had something to do with inventing tattoos in a roundabout way. His autographic writing pen inspired Samuel O'Reilly to to patent the tattoo machine as we know it today. And very little has changed from that original tattoo machine. So I thought that was kind of a neat piece of history that not too many people know. From his name, I'm guessing he was Irish. I mean, O'Reilly. So that's kind of cool because I'm Irish, and I think it's kind of neat. Maybe way back when, one of my great, Irish forefathers might have had something to do with inventing the tattoo machine. I'm not necessarily positive he was Irish. I'm just assuming on his name that he is. I did look him up on Wikipedia. Didn't find a lot of information. Tried to look up his biography. So that's the history of the tattoo machine. So that's kind of neat. I have done more research on Nubian tattoos, and I was unable to find very much that was proof that tattoos had existed before basically the Iceman. There's a lot of historical debate and argument over how long tattooing has been done. There's some people that believe that tattoos may have existed 12,000 years before the Ice Age, even in Europe, but there's no actual documents that support that thoroughly to the point where it can't be argued against. Also, it'd be kind of neat if they did find more evidence of pre-Ice Age tattoos. I'd be pretty happy if they found some sort of document or even, I don't know, some kind of mummy that's been preserved amazingly in the Arctic or something. Who knows? I mean, the Iceman's the best we have, I guess, because they have carbon dated to be maybe over 5,000 years old. So that's kind of neat. They have found bowls with traces of black and red pigment along with sharpened flat flint instruments, which many archaeologists and historians have basically conjectured that were used for tattooing, but once again there's debate. Some people have said that those may not necessarily been used for tattooing, but all the signs indicating point to the fact that they most likely were used for tattooing. There was bowls just with those traces of pigment found in Grotto des Fees, Fairy Grotto in Châtel-Perron, France, 1867, and also in caves in Portugal and Scandinavia. So that's kind of neat. Just a few other things I wanted to add, just to add to the whole Egyptian thing and artifact thing that I've been talking about. They found a blue bowl. This goes back to the Egyptian thing. They found this blue plate bowl with a picture of a Egyptian musician lady, female Egyptian, and she was playing like a harp, and she had the deity Bes on her leg, and they believe that this may have been a tattoo. Because, like I said in the Egyptian upload I did in my first history body modification, Bes was the patron deity of childbirthing and having looked over women when they were pregnant. So that's kind of interesting. The English writer Lane observed in 1801. Here's another little short bit of history that I thought was kind of interesting, along with, like I said in my second video, with the guy that observed the process being done on a boat. The English writer William Lane observed, he lived from 1801 to 1876, this English writer, and he wrote, "The operation," this is a quote, "the operation is performed with several needles, generally 7, tied together. With these, the skin is prickled," this is his quote, not mine, "in a desired pattern. Some smoke, black of wood or oil, mixed with milk from the breast of a woman, is then rubbed in. It is generally performed at the age of about 5 or 6 years old, and by gypsy women." So at one time, the gypsies tattooed their children when they were really young, 5 or 6 years old, and I thought that was kind of interesting because perhaps they did it as a way of identifying them, or I'm not sure. I want to do more research into gypsy tattoos because that's fascinating that they would actually tattoo their children so young. But when we get into the scarification, you'll see that that's actually a kind of a common practice in a lot of history of body modification. Children as young as 8 or 9 years old were pretty brutally scarred in a lot of African tribes. I've seen documentaries of this on PBS and on TV, where they would hold down a child that was 8 or 9 years old and just repeatedly cut the face and make marks and that kind of was like their beginning of manhood, and it showed who they showed. It made it easily seen from one tribe to another, which later on would be useful in warfare when they were fighting other tribes. They'd be able to see who was friend and foe. So, but I'm going to get into scarification more thoroughly at a different upload. So that's some of the stuff I've been researching. They found there's a lot of really cool artifacts, and I'm just going to go over a few of them that I looked up this week. A mummified head of a woman from pre-Inca Chiribaya culture, Chiribay, in Azabah Museum in Africa, is adorned with facial tattoos on her lower left cheek, and that's been carbon dated after Common Era, after death, 900 to 1350. Pre-dynastic female, 4,000 to 3,500 years before Common Era. Figure is at the Ashmolean Museum of Art and Archaeology in Oxford Metropolitan Museum in New York. It's home to a pre-dynastic female figure with body adornments and decorations that they believe might have been tattoos. Small bronze instruments, like I spoke about in my first upload, from Gurub, Egypt, can be found at the Petrie Museum of Egyptian Archaeology in London, and those date back to 1,450 years before Common Era, carbon dating. Female figurines from Nazca, Peru, is also displayed in Peru at the Regional Museum of ICA. And that's pretty much the research I did this week. I was trying to find stuff on Nubian tattoos, and like I said, there's not a lot of historical record, and I'm hoping that they will find more. There's people that do believe tattoos go back. I believe they probably were before ice. I'm sure that cultures tattooed to the beginning of time. Maybe not, the first, I don't know. I'm sure it goes back farther than we have record. It's just that there's not a lot of record because of the way many cultures isolated themselves, and then when European explorers mingled with these cultures, it was pretty much erased in a lot of ways because they wanted to. They assimilated. They assimilated to the European cultures by force or by choice. So that's my upload for this week. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm willing to research anything in the realm of body modification. I'll be doing an announcement later. Later in May, regarding something really big has happened in my life that I'm super excited about, and it's been something I've wanted to do for a long time, and it does have something to do with body modification and that. So I don't want to talk about it quite yet because it's not starting until June, but that's something I'll be talking about later on in May. Once again, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Please subscribe. And if you have any questions, please put them down below. Email them to me at piratewizarddragon@gmail.com. Like I said, I'm willing to research anything, and I love this stuff, so it's a passion of mine, and I'd love to just take the time. If you have any, historical questions, throw them at me. I want to know more myself, and if people ask me questions, it'll give me a definite motivation to research things more thoroughly and argue with me, whatever. I want some interaction here, so I'm begging. Anyways, thank you for your watching, and thank you for watching and your patience, and have a wonderful day.